Mexico, and China, saying he wants those countries to do more to crack down on illegal immigration and drug trafficking. The three countries are all slamming the move. They're vowing retaliatory strikes. Is the United States now in a trade war?
You know, these countries have an opportunity to get on board with the President of the United States and to partner with us to deal with illegal immigration, to take back their individuals that have been in our country illegally. We want to repatriate them home, and they can be partners. So economically, yes, they will feel pain. They will feel what this consequences are, and will be able to continue to go forward with a president who's strong, who's putting America first.
You know, let me just stress that point that I made, which is the president cites stopping the flow of fentanyl and undocumented migrants for reasons for these tariffs. And yet, Madam Secretary, Canada is not a major source of fentanyl coming into the United States. It's frankly minuscule compared to what is seized at the southern border. Why is the United States punishing Canada, one of its closest allies, more than China, where fentanyl originates?
Canada has some work to do as far as helping us secure our northern border. So we still know we're extremely vulnerable across that northern border, that we have people coming into our country from China, from foreign countries. We have people on the terrorist watch list that come in over our northern border. And in fact, what we have sent a message this week on is that we're not just going to enforce our southern border. We're going to put extra resources at that northern border as well. So Canada needs to come to the table. They need to work with us to make sure that not only can we be good neighbors, but that we can help each other's economies by getting in line and making sure that our immigration policies are followed, and that those that are dangerous criminals face consequences. The president has been very clear from the beginning that there's a new sheriff in town, that he's going to make sure he's putting Americans first, and that Canada can help us, or they can get in the way and they will face the consequences of it.
As you know, Madam Secretary, economists all across the board are warning that ultimately tariffs lead to higher prices for consumers, and that these tariffs in particular could see prices increase on food, electronics, and cars. The president himself acknowledging this morning these tariffs could cause, quote, some pain. How is this move helping President Trump fulfill his campaign promise to lower prices?
You know, you've seen the president take action already this week with Colombia, and you saw Colombia react in a very positive way that was good for everyone involved. Canada, Mexico, other countries have the opportunity to do exactly the same. So we have a strong leader. He has laid down exactly what he is going to do and what the consequences are. I encourage their leadership teams to get on board and to make sure that they're not pushing up prices. If prices go up, it's because of other people's reactions to America's laws. And that's what President Trump is doing. He is making sure that we're not picking and choosing winners and losers, that the law applies equally to everybody, American citizens. It applies to those who are here illegally, and our world leaders across the country and across the world. They can help us, or they're going to face some consequences.
Okay, so notable, you are acknowledging it is possible that prices could at least initially go up. Secretary Noem, let me shift now to the southern border where you are. Let's talk about the administration's mass deportation plans. There are a lot of questions about the announcement this week that Guantanamo Bay will be used as a detention facility for migrants. Will people held at Guantanamo have the same due process rights and access to attorneys that they have here in the United States?
Yes, due process will be followed, and having facilities at Guantanamo Bay will be an asset to us, and the fact that we'll have the capacity to continue to do there what we've always done. We've always had a presence of illegal immigrants there that have been detained. We're just building out some capacity. So we appreciate the partnership of the DOD in getting that up to the level that it needs to get to in order to facilitate this repatriation of people back to their countries. So remember that Guantanamo Bay, clearly by this president, has said that it will hold the worst of the worst, that we are going after those bad actors. This last week I was in New York City. We were going after people that had warrants out for their arrest on murders and rapes, assaults, gun purchases, drug trafficking. In fact, we had a member of TDA that was one of the ringleaders that we picked up that week had been trying to buy grenades. These are the types of individuals that we are targeting, we're removing from communities, and that could end up having a stay at Guantanamo Bay before they are returned home to their countries to deal with.
Is it possible, Madam Secretary, that people could be held at Guantanamo Bay indefinitely?
That is not the plan. The plan is to have a process that we follow that's laid out in law and make sure that we're dealing with these individuals appropriately according to what the state and the national lawsuit or law directs. So we will work with Congress to make sure that we're addressing our legal immigration laws and using Guantanamo Bay appropriately. But it is an asset that we have that we fully intend to utilize.
Could women, children, and families be held there at Guantanamo?
You know, if you look at what we are doing today as targeting the worst of the worst, we've been very clear on that. The priority of this president is to go after criminal aliens that are making our streets more dangerous. After that, we have final removal orders on many individuals in this country. They are the next priority, and we'll continue to work through people that are breaking the law, that are in danger to these communities, and use the detention centers that we have set up in order to facilitate this in an orderly way.
But I guess, Madam Secretary, my question, would you rule out that women, that children, that families could be held at Guantanamo Bay? Do you rule that out?
You know, Kristen, we're going to use the facilities that we have, and I think you're well aware, we have other detention facilities, other places in the country. Mm-hmm. So we will utilize what we have according to what's appropriate for the individuals that we have gone out on these targeted operations with local law enforcement and task forces to make sure that they're being brought in, they're not paroled anymore onto our streets, that we're keeping America safe, and that we're following the process for what happens when they break the law and how they are returned to their countries. I've been extremely grateful for Secretary of State Marco Rubio's work with these countries to negotiate and use diplomacy to ensure that they are going to be taking individuals back, not just from their country, but surrounding countries, so that we can immediately take action to return them far from the United States, which dramatically increases the likelihood that they're not going to come back.
Let me ask you, I've been talking to people who are here legally, and they have expressed concerns. They say they are carrying, in some cases, their documents around with them. Some of them are afraid to go to churches because ICE agents are now going into churches and schools to carry out these deportation operations. Do people who are here legally need to be carrying around paperwork? And can you guarantee that people who are here legally won't be wrongfully detained?
Kristen, I would say that if I've heard that expressed by people that are legal citizens of the United States, it's because the media has perpetuated that fear. The media has said that that's a possibility. There's nothing from this administration, from President Trump, or from any of the law enforcement individuals in these communities that has said that they need to walk around and be concerned about that at all. The citizens of the United States are confident that finally, after 4 long years of having a president in the White House that ignored federal law and endangered their communities, that there's a different man in charge now. There's a man in charge who loves this country, is going to help make their communities safer. And these citizens that live here are thrilled. In fact, when I was in New York City earlier this week and in several cities since then, the people walking by us on the streets were thanking our officers. They were thanking these investigators and those that were taking these dangerous criminals out for being there, for making sure that they could walk their kids to school with a new confidence that they could get there safely and that they could do business and have their community back.
Secretary Noem, let me ask you about the news that you made overnight. DHS officially making the decision to end temporary protective status for our audience. That means applies to about 500,000 Venezuelans. They no longer have protection from deportation. These are people who were welcomed here. They did everything by the books. Why should they be subject to deportation? Just very quickly.
Well, the TPP program has been abused, and it doesn't have integrity right now. And folks from Venezuela that have come into this country are members of TDA. And remember, Venezuela purposely emptied out their prisons, emptied out their mental health facilities, and sent them to the United States of America. So we are ending that extension of that program, adding some integrity back into it. And this administration is evaluating all of our programs to make sure they truly are something that's to the benefit of the